world seeing this tonight, an assassination attempt on the former president. Good evening. Thanks for being here with us. I'm Alexis Cruz.
And I'm Jim Grimes.
6:11 p.m. That's the exact time a sniper tucked away on top of a building across the stage from where the former president was giving his speech fired his first shot.
Yeah, we want to update you right now on the very latest that we're learning coming out of Butler, Pennsylvania tonight. Former President Trump, of course, surviving that assassination attempt. To recap, Mr. Trump speaking at that rally, shot in the right ear, taken to a hospital nearby. Trump appears to be okay, but the gunman who was taken out by Secret Service fired several shots, killing one spectator, injuring another person. Witnesses say it took a few moments to realize exactly what was happening.
I heard the shots. I thought it was firecrackers to begin with. Somebody over there was screaming, he's been shot.
CBS 12 News has team coverage tonight. Our Danny Travis is live outside Mar-a-Lago, where some Trump supporters have gathered, and reporter Kayla Gaskins joins us from Capitol Hill with what we know about the developing situation. We start with Kayla tonight.
Donald Trump releasing a statement in the hours after the attack, saying he was shot by a bullet that pierced his upper ear. He also thanked the Secret Service for their action and gave condolences to the rally attendee who died. Trump's campaign confirmed the former president is fine and that he was checked out at a local medical facility. A political rally turned into a crime scene.
This is a big crowd. This is a big, beautiful crowd.
As the former president spoke to his supporters in Butler, Pennsylvania Saturday, gunshots ripped through the air. Donald Trump seen reaching for his ear before dropping to the ground. Secret Service immediately rushing the stage to surround him. Screams heard in the crowd. After a few tense moments, the former president on his feet. Blood spattered across his cheek and ear. Trump giving a fist bump as Secret Service whisked him away to the hospital. The Associated Press reporting the shooter is dead, along with one rally attendee. President Biden spoke to Trump following the shooting and earlier condemned the violence.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick.
Republican House Majority Leader Steve Scalise was shot in 2017 by a left-wing activist. On Saturday, Scalise writing, "For weeks, Democrat leaders have been fueling ludicrous hysteria that Donald Trump winning re-election would be the end of democracy in America. Clearly, we've seen far-left lunatics act on violent rhetoric in the past. This incendiary rhetoric must stop." We spoke with a Trump supporter who was 6 rows from the stage.
Just a sad day for America. Just a really sad day for America. The vibe was, it was open with prayer. People were united. This is America. This is freedom, regardless of your politics.
This rally was supposed to be a celebratory moment for Trump heading into the GOP convention in Milwaukee that starts Monday. The convention will no doubt have a very different feel with tighter security now on tap in the wake of Saturday's shooting. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
Donald Trump taking to Truth Social tonight, saying in part, quote, "I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all the law enforcement for their rapid response. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed, and also to the family of the other person that was badly injured. It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong. In that, I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized what happened. God bless America," unquote.
Well, anytime there is news surrounding Mr. Trump, it's not unusual for his supporters to gather near his Palm Beach home. CBS 12's Danny Travis is joining us tonight just off the bridge that leads up to Mar-a-Lago. And Danny, what kind of reaction are you hearing tonight?
Yeah, Jim, well, this side of Southern Boulevard Bridge where we're at right now is usually where people gather when the former president is in the headlines. And Jim, an assassination attempt is certainly just one more reason for people to get out here and show their support. Now, we have been out here near Mar-a-Lago for a few hours now. And while it's much quieter out here now, as you can see behind me, not much going on. That was certainly not the case earlier when crowds were growing by the dozen.
I just thought it was crazy. I don't, you don't want him to get assassinated. I just want a fair race, and so I was like, wow, that's tough. But he's good. He's okay. That's all that matters.
The same moment that he got shot, the Secret Service jumped on top of him. He went up with the fist on and said, "Fight, fight, fight."
Honestly, I wasn't surprised because everything that they have done to him with the cases, with the indictments, it's all political, that's all, it's all political. So this, to be honest, it was expected.
I said, you know what, we got to pray, we got to come out and rally people. So I got the group together and we held hands today and we prayed for President Trump's protection. We prayed for his family and we prayed for the person that lost their life, that comfort their family, and pray for our nation to heal,
Now, I did reach out to the Palm Beach Police Department to see if they would be ramping up their patrols here in the area for extra safety precautions. However, I have not heard back. Reporting live near Mar-a-Lago, I'm Danny Travis, CBS 12 News.
Well, we're also hearing from local law enforcement tonight. Some of the sheriff's offices have been sending us messages saying that they're wishing Mr. Trump a speedy recovery. Over in Indian River County, however, the office there specifically noting our members have been notified to stay on high alert and be prepared to respond as needed. Although there have been no reported threats in our area, our SWAT teams and other specialty units have been placed on standby. They go on to say that this event has the potential to raise tensions, and our role as law enforcement professionals is to protect our community from any potential harm. Again, this is from the Indian River County Sheriff's Office.
Florida's top political leaders also expressing their support for the former president. Governor Ron DeSantis, Senator Rick Scott as well. Let's get to Governor Ron DeSantis' statement here. He says him and Casey are praying for Donald Trump and his family. And as we move towards Rick Scott, I am so thankful for the heroic agents who rushed in to protect President Trump. They are heroes. The director of the Secret Service needs to come out ASAP and let us know how this happened. We are hearing a lot of people questioning the Secret Service tonight. Now, as we move towards the next tweet, we've got Representative Brian Mass. He says, Brianna and I are praying for President Donald Trump and his family. Stay strong and keep the faith. Now, he serves portions of the Treasure Coast. We also have Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody reacting tonight. Trump injured at a rally in Pennsylvania, praying for him and his family. Senator Marco Rubio, who's been floated as a possible vice presidential pick, also taking to social media, expressing God protected President Trump with this famous photo that you're going to see everywhere as we continue through this coverage and people continue to react to what happened tonight.
All right, thanks, Alexis. Well, you're taking a live look right now over the White House. It has been a busy week in Washington, President hosting NATO leaders. But tonight, the president is at his home in Delaware. But we are learning that he is heading back to Washington earlier than planned. He addressed the shooting. Take a listen.
I have tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. Apparently he's doing well. I plan on talking to him shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this.
Vice President Harris also responding in a statement, sending well wishes to Trump and his family, to anyone impacted, adding that violence such as this has no place in our nation. We must all condemn this abhorrent act and do our part to ensure that it does not lead to violence. Mr. Trump thanking his Secret Service team tonight and all law enforcement for taking out that shooter. Joining us right now live is Tim Miller. He's a former Secret Service agent, a regular contributor here on CBS 12 News. As always, Tim, we appreciate you talking with us. Give me an idea. Obviously, a lot of people just surprised that this shooter was even able to get into this secured venue.
Yeah, that's a big question to be answered, to be honest. The Secret Service operates in rings of protection, and certainly anything within the range of a rifle is a prime concern. And so there's going to be a lot of details coming out. I was very impressed by the response after the shots. But remember, again, the Secret Service's job is to be proactive and make it not happen. Now, I will tell you that they've been incredibly busy on the campaign trail. And the reality is that a former president does not get the resources that a sitting president would have. So I'm sure they're tired and stretched thin. But with that said, we train every day with the hope and prayer that what happened today is not able to happen.
When you think about it, it feels like this is an impossible task to take this number of individuals to try to secure one man. That's a tough task when you look at the size and scope of what they're dealing with at some of these places, like they were in Pennsylvania today.
Well, that's exactly right. And remember, a rifle's not the only threat. You can have, all kinds of threats, vehicles, bombs, and the list goes on. And that's why the Secret Service is always training. And I'll tell you, they train harder than any organization. I was a Marine officer. I trained hard. I was a police officer. I trained hard. But when you went to the Secret Service, you trained all the time to protect against a variety of things. And I think you saw that training become fruitful today once those shots were fired. They were as good as it gets in terms of what we call cover and evacuate, covering the president with their own body, putting their own lives at risk, and then getting him out of there. And I got to tell you, I was blown away by the president's response to get up, have the presence of mind, to shake his fist and to demonstrate strength, because it would have been easy, when you're shot, that's a horrifying experience. It would have been easy just to go with the detail, who was very anxious to get him out of there and to get him into the armored vehicles.
What changes now? Obviously, this is going to, people are going to be wondering if he's going to be holding any more of these types of rallies. What will change for the Secret Service and for Mr. Trump and his campaign moving forward?
Well, I think the obvious thing is that there needs to be more resources applied. The president moves all over. I have been with him. He has amazing amounts of resources, which he should. But when you get a serious candidate, you also have to have serious amount of resources. And I think the biggest takeaway, to have an uncovered roof within rifle range in an uncontrolled building, Houston, that's a problem. And so I think the investigation is going to show us a lot of things that need to be improved. I think kudos go to the agents today on the ground, though, around the president. They did a fantastic job. But there's some changes that need to be made.
And Tim, quickly, just kind of respond. We heard some witnesses say that they had seen the gunman well before the shooting ever took place. Why is it that the Secret Service agents didn't spot him as well?
Well, that's a great question and something to be answered. I know we often partner with our law enforcement team, and sometimes we'll share coverages with SWAT teams, and I wish I had an answer. I don't. That's a big question that needs to be answered. We learned the lesson the hard way in 1963 with President Kennedy. You can't leave roofs or open windows in buildings unguarded. So that's a big takeaway.
All right, Tim, thank you as always for joining us tonight on CBS 12 News. We look forward to talking to you in the next few days, hopefully, as new details emerge. But again, much appreciated.
This morning, we are continuing to learn more about the assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania yesterday afternoon. Now, the former president landed at Newark Liberty International Airport early this morning. A video posted to X by Trump's deputy director of communications is captioned, quote, "strong and resilient. He will never stop fighting for America." So this comes as the FBI continues to search for a motive. However, they have identified the suspect as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. Not many details are known about him this morning, but we are learning Crooks and a man attending the event were killed and 2 others were hurt. Now, I do want to warn you, some of the footage that you are about to see may be disturbing to some viewers. Lauren Linder is in Butler County, Pennsylvania. She kicks off our coverage this morning.
Take a look at what happened.
Secret Service agents rushed former President Donald Trump off stage after shots were fired, moments after he began speaking at a Saturday evening rally in Butler County, Pennsylvania.
We had what we're calling an assassination attempt against our former president, Donald Trump. It's still an active crime scene.
The Secret Service says a man attending the rally was killed. A doctor standing nearby tried to help him, performing CPR.
The guy had spun around and was jammed between the benches. He had a headshot here.
Trump raised his fist as he left the stage. On his Truth Social site, the former president said he was shot by a bullet that pierced the upper part of his right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. He wrote, much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening. He was treated at a local hospital and released hours later. A New York Times photographer captured what appears to be one of the bullets.
I just hear these 4 shots and everybody's screaming drop, and you can see the blood like splatter on his face, and the Secret Service just barricades him.
The Secret Service says the gunman was outside the cordoned off area of the rally, standing on an elevated structure, and that he was shot and killed by a member of the agency's counter-assault team. Some rally attendees say they tried to warn police after spotting the suspect.
There's a guy on the roof with a rifle, and the police were like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on.
A large number of Secret Service agents is in Milwaukee right now ahead of the convention. They're trying to piece together what happened here in Butler. President Biden spoke a couple hours after the shooting.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick.
The president left Delaware tonight to return to the White House. He spoke to Trump after the shooting. This was Trump's last rally ahead of next week's Republican convention in Milwaukee. He was taken away in a motorcade and again held up his fist as he got into his SUV.
Reaction pouring in from former presidents and elected leaders from around the country, also to sheriff's departments in our area following the assassination attempt of the former president. Former President Barack Obama is condemning the shooting. Now, in a statement on Twitter, he says, quote, we should all be relieved that former President Trump wasn't seriously hurt. He's wishing Trump a speedy recovery and is calling for a return to, quote, civility and respect in politics. Former President George W. Bush chiming in as well. In a statement, he says he and his wife are grateful President Trump is safe. Bush goes on to call the shooting a cowardly act, and he commends the Secret Service for their quick response. Meantime, Governor Ron DeSantis also taking to X. He shared it's great that the former president is doing well. The governor is calling for answers about what happened here. DeSantis went on to say it's sad that a rally attendee was killed. Senator Rick Scott is calling for an immediate investigation into the attempted assassination of the former president. He says the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs has the obligation to demand answers from the Department of Homeland Security and also the Secret Service. Now, Scott says the committee needs to find out how this happened and what steps are being taken to investigate this assassination attempt and make sure that it never happens again. Our local sheriff's departments are also acknowledging what happened. Indian River County Sheriff's Office specifically noting, quote, our members have been notified to stay on high alert to be prepared to respond as needed. Although there have been no reported threats in our area, our SWAT teams and other specialty units have been placed on standby. It goes on to say this event has the potential to raise tensions, and our role as law enforcement professionals is to protect our community from any potential harm. Again, that's from the Indian River County Sheriff's Office. Well, it's not unusual for Trump supporters to gather near Trump's Palm Beach home. Danny Travis is joining us near the bridge that leads to Mar-a-Lago with what locals had to say about yesterday's assassination attempt of the former president.
This side of Southern Boulevard Bridge where we're at right now is usually where people gather when the former president makes headlines, and an assassination attempt is just one more reason crowds got out here to show their support. All walks of life could be seen at this small rally, from people of all ages to all demographics and nationalities, all with the same goal: to make their voices heard. Supporters we talked to have mixed reactions about what happened, but all say they're just glad Trump is walking away alive and well.
I just thought it was crazy. You don't want him to get assassinated. I just want a fair race, and so I was like, wow, that's tough. But he's good. He's okay. That's all that matters.
The same moment that he got shot, the Secret Service jumped on top of him. He went up with the fist on and said, fight, fight, fight.
Honestly, I wasn't surprised, because everything that they have done to him with the cases, with the indictments, it's all political, that's all, it's all political. So this, to be honest, it was expected.
I said, you know what? We got to pray. We got to come out and rally people. So I got the group together and we held hands today and we prayed for President Trump's protection. We prayed for his family and we prayed for the person that lost their life, that comfort their family, and pray for our nation to heal.
This does seem to be one of the smaller turnouts we've seen in recent events involving the former president, but certainly nothing short of love and support for him. Now, I did reach out to the Palm Beach Police Department to see if they would be ramping up patrols here in the area for extra safety precautions, but I have not heard back. Reporting near Mar-a-Lago, I'm Danny Travis, CBS 12 News.
We'll take a look. This was the scene at Trump Tower in New York City last night. As you can see, there was increased security at the building. Meantime, the Republican National Convention is set to start tomorrow in Milwaukee, and this morning there are new concerns over safety following yesterday's assassination attempt. Dua Israra spoke with people about their thoughts on the attack and their concerns about the RNC.
Why would that happen in the first place? It's not okay.
Shock, fear, and safety concerns were at the top of mind for people in Milwaukee.
People are really concerned about people's safety, and I think that reflects a lot about the situation right now, the tension, and I think that's something that we all got to be careful about.
I was worried. I was worried that this might have been a more serious injury.
After gunshots were fired at former President Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania, Milwaukeeans say they're worried for the Republican National Convention. Are you concerned, that something like that might happen at the RNC?
1,000%.
Some say people shouldn't have to worry about their safety while expressing their political beliefs.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous that somebody has to take that sort of stance at a presidential candidate, because regardless of what you think, whether you vote left or whether you vote right, it is not okay to do that. Absolutely not.
An RNC volunteer says come Monday, he believes security will be stricter.
I would expect security to get tightened.
It's something that Milwaukeeans we spoke to say they want.
Seeing all the helicopters and I'm seeing all the police officers, and I think we should have more of that.
Others say they hope nothing like this happens again.
I want everyone to love each other. I don't think that we have to be in a situation for everyone to, spread this kind of hate one way or another.
Tonight, there are calls for calm following the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump at a Pennsylvania rally yesterday. The FBI has taken over the investigation as questions mount about how this could have even happened in the first place. Here's national correspondent Christine Frizzell.
An incident not seen in a generation. Now the start of a new chapter of modern history. The assassination attempt of the former president and current presumptive presidential nominee, leaving a nation stunned. New video from TMZ showing the suspected shooter, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, in the moments before he was killed by Secret Service. The AP reporting a local police officer tried to confront the shooter, but backed away when the gun was pointed at him. The suspect's yearbook photos seen here. The crime now being investigated by the FBI as a domestic terror attack.
That bullet went just apparently a millimeter from doing real and permanent damage to him, or perhaps taking his life.
Speaker of the House Mike Johnson promising a full investigation into how Donald Trump was left so vulnerable following witness accounts like this.
We noticed the guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof. We're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely.
Police say he had explosives in his car and at his home and was just about 200 to 300 yards away from the stage where Donald Trump was speaking.
How is it that someone could get on a roof with a superior position with a weapon and attempt to assassinate former President Donald Trump? It's just unthinkable, unfathomable. We need to know, is this a protocol failure? Is this a resources issue?
A defiant Donald Trump arriving in Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention, saying he decided not to delay his trip, posting, "I cannot allow a shooter or potential assassin to force change to scheduling or anything else." President Joe Biden from the Oval Office addressing the nation Sunday night.
A former president was shot, an American citizen killed, while simply exercising his freedom to support the candidate of his choosing. We must not go down this road in America.
A former Pennsylvania fire chief, Corey Comparator, was killed while attending the Butler County rally. His sister posting this photo on Facebook saying, "My baby brother had just turned 50. Former First Lady Melania Trump posting this statement on X, calling the country to ascend above the hate, the vitriol, and the simple-minded ideas that ignite violence. President Joe Biden is echoing those calls for unity, as are many of his fellow Democrats, saying it's time to stop calling for him to step down out of concern for his debate performance or his poll numbers, and instead stand behind him during this difficult time for our country. I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
The city of Milwaukee also on high alert as the Republican National Convention kicks off tomorrow. After the attempted assassination of former President Trump, the Secret Service says there will be no major changes to their already strict security plan. National correspondent Atra Al-Nashar reports from Milwaukee tonight.
The Republican National Convention carrying on after an attempt on former President Trump's life. Trump flying from his Bedminster, New Jersey golf club to Milwaukee Sunday afternoon.
I think people are excited about it. I hope it's going to help a bigger turnout for the Republicans, hopefully.
After Saturday's events, the RNC security perimeter will not be expanded, and civilians will still be allowed to carry firearms outside the perimeter.
Our state law allows for the particular right to carry a firearm. We as a city cannot legislate out of that.
Downtown Milwaukee blanketed with law enforcement, especially surrounding Pfizer Forum, where delegates will gather, and the Pfister Hotel, where Trump is staying. But this time feels far from routine. From volunteers to sitting members of Congress, here in Milwaukee, it seems all anyone is talking about is the shock of an assassination attempt on the man they're about to formally nominate as their presidential candidate.
I'm literally beyond words at what has happened there.
I got a phone call from my brother, and I couldn't believe it. And he said, no, it really happened.
President Biden ordering an independent review of what happened at the Pennsylvania rally and how, and for the findings to be made public. And
I've directed the head of the Secret Service to review all security measures for the Republican National Convention.
An estimated 50,000 delegates, media, law enforcement, and visitors are expected. Even before the Trump rally shooting, the Department of Homeland Security designated the RNC as a Tier 1 event with national and/or international importance that requires extensive federal interagency support. Local and state police aiding federal law enforcement ranging from Secret Service to the Coast Guard and Customs and Border Patrol, monitoring the skies and nearby Lake Michigan, Milwaukee, and Menominee rivers.
Very confident in the security situation here in Milwaukee. This is probably one of the most secure areas on the planet.
Capitol Police is also here to protect sitting members of Congress attending the convention, a necessity. Last year alone, Capitol Police's threat assessment team handled more than 8,000 cases. Wisconsin GOP Chair Brian Schimming says despite the shooting, the convention schedule will go on as planned. That includes the vice presidential nomination on Wednesday and the presidential nomination on Thursday.
Good afternoon. Thanks for being here with us on CBS 12 News at noon. I'm Alexis Cruz. We begin with breaking news. Just days after the assassination attempt of Donald Trump, we are learning the classified documents case against the former president has now been dismissed. The president was facing federal charges that he was hoarding top secret paperwork at his Palm Beach resort. Judge Aileen Cannon just sent out a bombshell ruling deciding that this case will not proceed to trial and the charges will be dropped. I-Team Chief Investigator Mike Magnoli joins us live in the newsroom. Mike, there have been several defense motions to dismiss. Which one got over the finish line?
Good afternoon, everybody. Trump's defense team argued that special counsel Jack Smith should have never been appointed and that his investigation was being illegally funded. Well, it seems that the judge agrees with that argument, and she says, case dismissed. To give you some more from her 93-page decision, she wrote that this investigation violated the appropriations and the appointment clauses in the United States Constitution. Furthermore, she wrote that pending motions are moot and that the upcoming hearings that were scheduled are now canceled. So, folks, this is a torpedo in the federal prosecutor's case. She has just told them, your case is unconstitutional. If you've been following our coverage of this, you know that over the past few months I've been in the courtroom up there in Fort Pierce about a half dozen times for hearings, and Judge Cannon, though she never set a trial date, did allow the lawyers from both sides to put on oral arguments for their various motions. And the Trump defense team has really been peppering Judge Cannon's office with motions to dismiss. They did not want this to go to trial. This is certainly a victory for Trump's team, a crushing blow to special counsel Jack Smith and to Attorney General Merrick Garland. When the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago and removed those boxes of material, the Justice Department said in their indictment that Trump should have handed all that material over to the National Archives. They said it was highly sensitive information and that he should have not been holding on to it. Judge Cannon's decision earlier today to dismiss this case doesn't have anything to do with what the president did with those boxes, with those documents. This has nothing to do with his actions. This is all about what the Justice Department did and how they organized this investigation and then the prosecution and how they then gave it the green light. The judge writing she thinks that Congress should have been the one to call for this investigation, not the executive branch. The special counsel's office can go to the appellate court. They can take Judge Cannon's decision. They can say we disagree with this and go to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. If they do that, and it's not clear if they even will attempt that, it is very unlikely that the appellate court would overturn Judge Cannon before the November election. So it is not clear what the next step is, but certainly this won't be happening before we decide who the next president is. You could say that the prosecution had a couple of hills to go over previously. Well, you could now say they are looking at Everest. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Now, this all comes as the Republican National Convention is set to get underway later today. It's a live look you're looking at right now in the city of Milwaukee. More than 50,000 politicians, delegates, and media are slated to be there, including Trump himself. Officials there on high alert. Security perimeter around the convention center stretches for several blocks. We're seeing more law enforcement patrols in that area as a helicopter scans overhead, equipped to detect radiological and nuclear material. There's new concern about how close people with weapons can get to the convention center. Wisconsin state law prohibits the city from banning guns within parts of the security perimeter. In the so-called hard zone, seen here in the red, closest to the convention hall, no guns will be allowed. But just outside that zone, seen in the yellow, people are permitted to carry legal weapons. Wisconsin's governor is requesting for that decision to be reconsidered. He's asking for additional briefings from U.S. Secret Service this week. The agent in charge says no changes to security are warranted at this time. She says she is confident in their planning, which started more than a year ago.
We have an operational security plan that's built out for every area of responsibility related to any and all aspects of security related to this event.
The FBI says it's been evaluating their online activity and has found no articulated threat to the RNC or any individuals that will be attending this week. And here we can show you Trump's motorcade about to arrive right there in Milwaukee last night. The former president is said to be in good spirits and looking forward to the convention. As attention turns to the RNC, the investigation is only just beginning in the assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump. Questions remain how the gunman was able to get within shooting distance of the stage of the campaign rally in western Pennsylvania. One man in the crowd was killed. The former president and two others were hurt. Scott McFarland reports from Butler, Pennsylvania this afternoon.
It was shortly after 6 p.m. Saturday and just minutes into former President Trump's speech in Butler, Pennsylvania, when the unthinkable happened. Sources say the shooter got off 6 to 8 rounds with his AR-style .556 semi-automatic rifle. Trump says he was hit in the right ear by a bullet, while 2 people were injured and 1 was killed. Within seconds, Secret Service counter-snipers shot and killed the gunman.
It's still very surreal. Like, it's hard to believe that it happened.
I just freaked. I have tears now.
Sources confirmed to CBS News police were alerted to a suspicious person spotted outside the security perimeter as rally-goers were filing into the event. Officers briefly lost track of him before he reappeared on the roof of a nearby building. The local sheriff confirmed an armed municipal officer was hoisted onto the roof of that building, but fell off when the shooter pointed his rifle in the officer's direction. That's when police say the gunman turned around and opened fire into the crowd. Some attendees, like Linda Green, feel security should have been much tighter.
Are you thinking I need some answers as to what went wrong?
Right. I was like, why weren't they on that guy?
The 2 people injured in the shooting, 57-year-old David Dutch and 74-year-old James Copenhaver, are now in stable condition. The one crowd member who died has been identified as former firefighter Corey Comparator. His wife said he died shielding his family from harm.
He was one that, in the drop of a hat, would help anyone. Just wonderful man.
The FBI has identified the shooter as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. Investigators say they found rudimentary bomb materials at his home and in his vehicle, and a suspected triggering mechanism in his possession. Investigators say they have not yet uncovered a motive, and so far believe Crooks acted alone.
That was Scott McFarland reporting. Law enforcement sources say the rifle found on the shooter's body was legally purchased by and registered to his father. After the shooting, Trump supporters gathered on Southern Boulevard Bridge near Mar-a-Lago, as they often do. Our Danny Travis was there. She has more on what supporters had to say.
I was out here reporting Saturday night on this side of Southern Boulevard Bridge where we're at right now, where people usually gather when the former president makes headlines. And an assassination attempt is just one more reason crowds got out here Saturday night to show their support. All walks of life could be seen at this small rally, from people of all ages to all demographics and nationalities, all with the same goal: to make their voices heard. Supporters we talked to have mixed reactions about what happened, but all say they're just glad Trump is walking away alive and well.
I just thought it was crazy. You don't want him to get assassinated. I just want a fair race, and so I was like, wow, that's tough. But he's good. He's okay. That's all that matters.
The same moment that he got shot, the Secret Service jumped on top of him. He went up with the fist on and said, "Fight, fight, fight."
Honestly, I wasn't surprised, because everything that they have done to him with the cases, with the indictments, it's all political, that's all, it's all political. So this, to be honest, it was expected.
I said, you know what, we got to pray, we got to come out and rally people. So I got the group together and we held hands today and we prayed for President Trump's protection. We prayed for his family, and we prayed for the person that lost their life, that comfort their family, and pray for our nation to heal.
This does seem to be one of the smaller turnouts we've seen in recent events involving the former president, but certainly nothing short of love and support for him. Now, I do want to point out that former President Trump did not return to Palm Beach after the shooting. Instead, he spent the night at his New Jersey golf club before heading to Wisconsin for the Republican National Convention. Reporting near Mar-a-Lago, I'm Danny Travis, CBS 12 News.